Good evening to you all. Nobody on yet, but I'm sure there will be in a few moments. So here we are, Tuesday, the 23rd of August, and I'm really, truly looking forward to the next hour with a wonderful lady who's got an incredible reputation as a medium, so psychic medium and animal communicator. And I think you're going to be absolutely fascinated over the next hour. As you know, we're running up very closely now to the 3rd and 4th of September, which will be the Wellbeing Show at Newark. 70 plus people confirmed and standing for that event, and an extraordinary amount of pre-booked tickets. That really is going to be a fantastic show. Most people watch this on catch up, and all the information about our guest will be on the page on Lizianevents News. We're currently running at around about 11,000 people per month on Lizianevents News. So any of you who wish to be using the classifieds, which are free of charge, get yourself on there. We're getting a lot of results from that. So without further ado, let me just find the right buttons and click the right button. I'm going to introduce you to our wonderful Anita. Anita Denise. I would advise everybody, let me just find the right buttons, banners it is. I would advise everybody to go to Anita's website. It is absolutely fantastic. It's lightning quick. You won't be bored when you click on it. You'll be straight there and you'll find out tons and tons of information. So there we have it. Welcome, 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 my dear friend. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Ian, for inviting me along and your great comments regarding my website as well. I'm Anita. Anita Paniotis is my married name. I married a Greek, and my husband and I, we both live in Essex. I'm a Londoner by birth, and we share our home with 8 dogs. Most people
Do you?
Most people think I'm a bit mad. I'm known locally as the mad dog lady.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm assuming that we're going to talk about this in a minute. I'm assuming your communication comes into play with all of your lovely animals. There are 4 people on already. Hello, everybody. And when you come on, I'll introduce you to all. So let me ask you, Anita, your specialist work is mediumistic and animal communication. Could you give the viewers an insight into the history of your work? How did you arrive at where you're at now?
Right. Well, it's quite a long story, to be honest.
Good.
And I was actually so I could be here for some time, but I'll keep it simple. And basically, I was born clairvoyant, and I didn't really realize as a child, because as a child you just think it's normal. And I had very strong visions, and I could actually, I don't see it now, but when I was small I could actually see spirit people like we could see each other.
Wow.
And we lived back then we lived in London, and my parents, they owned a public house, a pub basically, and it was very, very Victorian. And I remember being down in the cellar one day of my dad. I was very, very small, and I saw this Victorian child, and I said, Mum, Dad, what's that little girl over there? And they said, oh, it's your imagination. So in my family, from my early years, I was grown up with the child with a very vivid imagination. So I sort of didn't get a chance to really develop my mediumship until sometime down my life path. But having said that, the animals, again, is something I feel, this is my passion for animals. I know that I was born with that, because even before I knew, for example, when the mad dog lady comes in now, where an egg comes from or what an egg is, once I knew, I couldn't eat it, even though we know it's not been fertilized. I just that
Really?
Yeah, it's a bit funny, really. But I said to my nan, "Where's the egg come from?" Nan, I was only about 2 or 3, and she explained to me, and that was it. From that day, then I couldn't touch an egg. So I feel that came with me as I came into this incarnation. I truly believe that. So my empathy of animals has been with me for as long as I can remember. And I always remember, again, when I was small, saying to my parents, when I grow up, I want to work with animals. And that came later on in my life.
Did you initially work with people? I mean, I know you still work with people in readings now, but initially, did you work with people?
Yes, I've always worked with people, actually. So and when I was at school, I was always being told off for talking too much on my report. Anita talks too much. Anita talks too much. So I actually went into hairdressing, and it was a blessing.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. You know, when you were hairdressing, did you ever pick up things from your clients as you were
Yes.
looking after their hair?
Yes, I did, very much so. And also, again, like we know as mediumistic abilities, it's not just the mediumship speaking the spirit world, but it's also
Mm,
the psychic medium, the healing medium. I mean,
yeah,
mediumship is a vast umbrella. And I remember very much back when I was probably in my early 20s, how much psychic work I was doing with my clients doing their hairdressing. But at the time, I
fa-
didn't know what it actually was psychic work I was actually doing.
fascinating. I had the privilege to have met Joe Benjamin, the medium, the London medium, quite a few occasions, and I always remember something that he said to me, and this is within mid 1970s, a little bit later than that. He said, just remember, Ian, that healing is the pinnacle of mediumistic work. Never forget it. And I've never have. It's an amazing thing, and of course, this mediumistic healing is to me is fantastic, because actually you can settle people's mind, you can allow them to accept that that their losses have gone into a better place, that there's no more pain. I mean, it isn't just a case of talking about what's happening in their lives. There's a great deal of settlement involved in our work, I believe.
I agree, and it was actually a point in my life when we often, I think, as workers, as spiritual workers, there's normally a point that brings us into our path, so to speak, into
Mm,
our role that we play now, the role that I play now. And I was at a sort of bit of a crisis point, and a friend said to me, "Why don't you come along for some healing?" And I thought, yeah, I will try. I'll go along, and that's my first step realistically into the mediumistic role that I now play now. So I went for healing. I went along for several sessions, and I actually trained with the SNU, the Spiritualist Church,
yeah,
to become an approved SNU healer, to which
healer,
I am still today. So I think there's
wonderful.
something to be said for the healing route as well regarding mediumship.
Do you still do platform work, Anita?
I still do platform work, and I love my platform work. And it's funny because obviously we had the lockdown, the COVID period, and prior to that, I was doing a lot of in-person platform work,
Hmm.
and then we had to adapt, didn't we? So we had to
Yes,
adapt to, can't go to centres, can't go to churches. So I actually started to do quite a lot of my demonstrations on Zoom, online, and
wonderful.
I found, first of all, I was asked, and I thought, oh, is it going to work just as well? And it's amazing, really, the intelligence of spirit, how you can, no matter time and space, does not exist when you're working with
Mm,
spirit world.
yes.
You just connect, you just just allow it to flow, and I just found working online for me. I love being in. I'm a very much a people person. I love to be with people. I enjoy people. I enjoy conversation, but it's also fantastic to have the opportunities to help people who are other parts of the world. I've
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah, because I think people miss the point that actually, as a medium, you are a conduit, and spirit, as you say, has no time and space. So if they sense that there's a conduit available for them to communicate to the loved one, it all just happens, doesn't it? It's wonderful.
Does, yeah. And I think it's opened up the COVID, obviously the very downside, and
Mm,
upset with the lockdown, but it's also, I think, opened the world up in a way through technology where we can connect, the human race can connect much more vastly as well, to bring the work through from spirit.
I completely agree with you. And isn't it interesting how there are so many people for so long have tried to demean the work of the medium, and yet I see it, and I see the interest in mediumistic work and psychic connections and intuitive connections. I see it growing. I don't see it diminishing, Anita.
I actually feel it's growing as well. I'll be honest with you, Ian. I see it's growing where I am very keen on to see the interest growing is with young people as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so a couple of hellos here. Here's Gaz. You'd really like Gaz. He's a absolutely fantastic guy. He's a life coach, and he's very, very popular and very well known. He's absolutely brilliant at his work. So hello, Gaz, and here's the boss, Liz. Nice to meet you on here, Anita. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I think I'll give them both a star, seeing as I'm like that. Good. You know, when you first started to get really clear messages, what did it worry you? Were you concerned? Did you have any fears?
it's funny you say that, because my fears are, and they still stay with me slightly, is getting predictions for the future.
Really?
Yeah, for me, sometimes I see things and I think, oh, I don't know if I want to see that. Don't know if I want to know that. So so I'm very much here. For me, I just like to go with the flow as it comes. You know, it will come, and I will deal with it. I will cross that bridge. My philosophy is I will cross that bridge when I get to it. That's for me, because again, what I saw was, again, when I was young, a lot younger, before I understood the work, I saw a couple of things. Family stuff, to be honest with you. I saw someone was going to pass, and it frightened me at that point. I was
Mm.
like 14, 15, and I had no development. My family around me that supported me. I think it's a bit weird, but they supported me, but didn't understand what I saw and what I could feel, so they couldn't actually support me. So when I saw a couple of things, I thought I was a bit. So now for myself, I tend to switch that part off. But when I'm working with a client, I don't, because obviously I've not the emotional connection to that person's life.
Yes. There's quite a few people coming on at the moment, as you can probably see, and there'll be more as it progresses. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask Anita, please do so. But I specifically would ask you not to ask Anita for any messages. That is not what we're here for tonight. So please respect that. I know that I haven't discussed that with Anita, but we want to be talking about her work and who she is, because I've got to say to you again, Anita's got an incredible reputation in the area that she works. She's got a massive following. She's really very, very well respected in her work, and it's a privilege for us to be in here. Lizianevents is all about connecting people up and connecting people together. So there are people literally from all over the world watch these recordings. So if you want to contact Anita, here we go again. Let's find that banner. There it is. Connect to her through her website and work with her on a one-to-one basis. Please don't ask any questions of her personal or spiritual nature at the moment, unless it's a question, of course, about mediumistic work. And I'm sure that Anita would be absolutely love answering any questions to that. So, animal communication. How long have you been an animal communicator?
Well, I've actually been doing that longer than I've done my mediumship work, to be honest. It's just because it just really, I wouldn't say how that started was, again, I've always had this empathy for animals. I mean, even if I see a wild animal or an injured animal, my mum had to go and help it when I was younger, and on all sorts. And again, I've always had animals, been blessed to have animals in my own life. My dad was very much a big animal lover, and I pretty much had most of the domesticated pets in my life at some point. So in that aspect, but it wasn't until really I'd done hairdressing for a number of years, and my work, as it does, it changes, and I actually went into dog training. So I became a professional dog trainer, which I am still today. So
Goodness.
so I was and now that came about was quite an interesting story, actually, because I had this wonderful dog called Jimmy, who's now in spirit, and he was a big boy, big chocolate Doberman, but he was a gentle giant. But he was probably the naughtiest dog I've ever actually shared my life with. If he could find mischief, he would find it. So I basically enrolled in the local dog training club, and I started to work with a dog, and I enjoyed it so much. They said, would you like to help out on a puppy class? And cut a long story short, one thing led to another. I did the puppy class. I then wanted to learn more, so I enrolled in some courses. I did actually become a behaviourist. I also ran my own school for a number of years, so I had a big hands-on with animals and dogs specifically. And I think it's during that time of being so hands-on, working with the animal and also with their human, that I really became aware of the energy and the dynamics and the flow of how we interact with our own animals. And every one of us, every person will have a different relationship with their own animal. And it's really become quite obvious to me as I sort of watch the people come to class, and and the dynamics of the relationships. And there was one particular day, I remember it forever, when there was this beautiful rescue collie that was coming to class. His name was Ben, and used to come with his owner. And it did have quite a few issues, to be honest. And I used to say to his I used to set a plan every week, so to go away and practice and try to break certain habits. And every week, well, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. And it got to a point where I thought, well, what do I try now? Just sort of my head went vacant. What do I try now? Looked down at the dog, and he looked straight in my eyes, and he said to me, "She's not telling you the truth."
Wow.
And I was like, oh. So I looked at him again. Went, no, she's not telling you the truth. She's not doing any of it. So obviously then I had to address what the dog was telling me to what the human was telling me, and that really invoked my interest into animal communication.
Fantastic.
And when I back then, there are courses available now. There's a lot more courses available to be taken there, a lot more awareness of animal communication. Back then, it was like 20 years ago, there wasn't much. And I found somewhere, it was in Hampshire, funnily enough, and I went. What I did was I went to a Mind Body event. It was in Essex somewhere, and they did a mini, I think it was an hour's workshop of animal communication, to which I went onto, and it was so phenomenal. That hour, I was able to connect with an animal of my own from when I was a childhood there, just like animals was in the here and now. And I had no understanding of how it worked at that point, and it really sort of invoked my interest. And I picked up a card to come away with, and I kept it. And it was around the same time when this dog said to me, "She's not telling you the truth." So I looked the guy up, and I enrolled in a course, and then I sort of did a sort of bit more research, and I actually went on to do like further education and become a practitioner in animal communication, which was quite then. It was about almost 2 years training. We had to do lots of case studies, and we also had to, the case study we did, we was given certain people to work with. There was veterinary surgeons, there was mediums like myself, there was just normal people, and we had to get 90% correct of our communications to actually qualify to become an communicator at that time.
So I've got a couple of questions. One from Stuart. Stuart Carey, very, very well known in Nottinghamshire, and runs the Nottinghamshire Reiki School, and absolutely Nottingham Reiki, very, very popular, very big school. He has worked in the field for many years, and he's very, very intensively involved in Lizianevents, and always likes to support us. There's a couple of questions. Stuart firstly asks, question you've already answered, so Stuart, you'll have to quickly catch up. When did your journey start for you? And Anita was very, very, very young indeed when that journey started, so we'll just skip that. But let's just see if you can work this one out. Is there a difference between an animal communicator and animal trainer, Anita? Is there a difference between the two, or can they flux together?
I would say they are 100% can flux together, but they are also very different.
Right.
Because obviously to be an animal trainer, so I'm not talking about training animals, saying zoos and aspects like that, but because I do behavioural work, so that aspect is very good. You don't need it as an animal communicator, but when I communicate with animals, I have where my foundation is really good is I have an understanding of innate behaviours, innate drives, and all that aspect, which I can really bring into the communication. So the two can work very, very well together. If someone has got an animal background already, when I did my training, there was a lady there. She was a police dog handler that also wanted to do animal communication. I've also worked with someone on a course. She was a vet, and she was looking more to do, again, animal communication, working with the animals. So you can, I think it's very good. All someone needs is to have that open mind, really, an open mind to be able to, understand how it works working with the animals. But definitely, I thought was a very good crossover, working well together between someone who's got an animal background and someone who wants to do animal communication. I think the two can come together excellently.
And I would imagine that sometimes the owners of the dogs are a bit shocked by the profound insights that you get from the animals as you're working with them. I'd imagine they think, "Well, where did that come from?"
Yeah, because of the understanding I've got, say, from my dog years of working as a instructor there. I know about allergies, about behavioural aspects, about lack of mental stimulation. So that can really come into a communication, which can really, really help massively. And not just with dogs. I mean, it comes with cats, it comes in horses, and more recently I've been doing a lot of work with rescue horses, which is really quite sad when
very much so. Yes, very much. So Liz has got a question for you. It's been said that animals have a sixth sense. I think we probably have this too, but we've closed down in general. What do you think? Do you think this is the case? Do you think we've generally lost our sixth sense?
100%. Animals, and we are animals for a start off, and
Yeah.
animals do have that sixth sense. Animals are highly intuitive. You know, they use their intuition to hunt for food, to find a mate, to find shelter. Because of our conditioning, you know, our human brain really, it has shut it down. It has locked that sixth sense down in ourselves. So 100%, we are no different to a wild animal. No, we're not wild, but we've got that sixth instinct, that innate behaviour that comes in us, our own intuitiveness, but we don't trust it anymore because we're so conditioned, you know, so by that learnings and the way that the world is today, we often just dismiss our own gut feeling, our own intuition. That sixth sense is truly there.
That's interesting. When we were young down at the farm, my grandfather had got a dog, Alsatian, called Sam, and it was a yard guard dog. And my goodness, it was a pretty vicious animal. And one day, my sister Greta went missing, and they looked, because the farm, funny place, isn't it, to go missing. Do you know where she was? She was sitting in Sam's kennel, and they were like best of friends. And without any doubt whatsoever, Sam and my sister were literally the best. As soon as she came into that dog's presence, the dog just completely calmed down and was just like a gentle baby. Just amazing story. But she had got incredible affinity to horses as well. It is quite amazing, isn't it? This confidence and this like sixth sense bond between an animal and a child. It's a fascinating thing.
People they don't question it, do they? Children don't question it. They just know it. They feel it, and it's not until we go, so they get more conditioned through. I don't want to say through school, but just through school, through circumstance, family circumstances. We get, like, I was conditioned to be with my imagination for a long time. I was your imagination.
Yes.
And it's not because people do it to shut you down. I just think people don't really. We're too busy. I think life has become too busy to really sit and appreciate that sixth sense that we have, and we are all born with that sixth sense. We're all born with that innate knowingness, because we need it. If we go back, say, to hunter-gatherer days, when we were cavemen, you know, that's where we originate from. They would have used that sixth sense. They would have used that to find food, to know the weather.
Yeah, it's true. That is absolutely true. You just feel about it. It's like, I've got a funny thing that Liz will confirm. I always know what the time is. I don't need a watch. I wear one, but I don't need one. I always know what the time is. Gaz says, when you've been around injured animals that then pass on, is there ever a message from the gatekeeper that gives you a communication of, it's okay, I'll take them over to the other side now, thank you? Are you with that?
Yeah, I am with that. This is a very big area that I actually do tend to work in as well. It's not just with the injured animals. We say it's like someone's obviously is in good health before it's been injured. Then and if I witness that, then obviously I am there to help and support. And there would be a message, Joe, it's okay for them to cross over, because they are, again, that this is different people's philosophy, but I very much strongly believe that animals also have their own soul. They are a soul being, they are a soul purpose, regardless of what species they may be. So again, it's helping that soul to transition over and saying to me, it is okay to cross over. But where a lot of my work does take me is, and this is always, for me, I always feel very responsible, because it's, people know, is it time to say goodbye? And that for me is a lot of my work does take me that way. And I just feel, and again, even like when it's their own animal, sometimes we're too closely connected emotionally to be able to know if it's the right time to say goodbye. But there is a lot of what I do is knowing it's the right time. Now is the time to let them go. Is the animal ready to cross over? And that is a case, really, just to sort of to reassure their human that they're ready. It is time. And again, here it's like releasing the animal to allow them to cross over.
I always think it's fascinating the way that all animals enter their final sleep with such dignity. It's really phenomenal. I mean, I can't watch that film War Horse.
That's sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Stephanie has got a fantastic comment here, and I'll ask you to think about it. I did a reading for a family where the brother was a vet. He was actually treating a dog, and the reading was quite accurate, but the vet just basically called it weird. I would expect that acceptance from vets is probably quite low.
Sadly, Stephanie, you are correct. It is quite low. However, there are more vets that are becoming slightly more awake, shall we say.
Mm.
Now, if, for example, there's a vet, vet in Essex, that she is a registered vet, but she's also homeopathic. She is very open to the animal communication. So it really just comes down to finding, and I think, again, we look at the vets, again, when I look back to when I was younger at the vets, it was very much like a one-person business. You know, the vet there is veterinary nurse or the female vet working one-to-one with the public. Most vets nowadays are so commercialised that these big, and nothing, not putting them down, but they're massive. They're more of a corporation. So you've lost that actual individualist with your vet quite often. Whereas I think here we owe the vets probably. I don't feel they're scared of it, but it's just not in their mindset.
Yeah, it's interesting. Liz is very much into Reiki, and she's written a few articles, just series of articles about Reiki over the last few weeks on Lizianevents news, and she's done quite an amount of research. And would you be surprised to believe that in America, of all places, there are over 350 hospitals in America that now have separate centres for alternative and complementary therapies focused on Reiki.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Amazing.
I think it is amazing because there's so much out there, so under the umbrella to complement, you know, the allopathic medication, which I think is important. But there's other aspects, because there was animal I worked with not long ago that it had basically, and the vet wasn't even aware of this. I picked up on kidney issues, and she said, "Well, no," which was fine. And then she came back to me about a month later when it got back to recheck to the vet. It had actually had the starting of early kidney disease.
Amazing. We've got to thank Stephanie for that fantastic comment. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very, very much indeed, Stephanie. Right, so let's see if we've got another couple. You've got your popular girl tonight. Hey, Anita, I can tell you. Liz says, children animals are, in my opinion, both trusting as a natural response, and we're taught not to trust. You know, that's quite true, isn't it? And also she says, it's true. Ian knows within 5 to 10 minutes what the time is. At any time, spooky. Absolutely fantastic guy, Paul Week. He's our ambassador for the Northeast, looks after our Newcastle show for us, which is going to be very, very, very busy. We're fully booked, I think, for that now. Tons of pre-booked tickets sold, and Paul's out there pushing and let everybody knows the show's going. So Paul's very much of a healer, into Reiki, chakra balancing, things of that nature. Wonderful. Claire's here. Good evening, Claire. Claire is an absolutely brilliant medium. She's wonderful. She's got loads of things going on. Winter Changes her book. It's become very, very popular indeed. And love that I had a vision of transforming the NHS into holistic. Don't think that's ever going to happen, but there's a few people out there. I know Liz and I know a GP really well who, if you listened to her talk about vibrational healing, it is absolutely amazing, and I mean amazing. And what's really interesting, sometimes you'll get people who'll make a comment and she'll say, oh no, on a physiological basis, when vibrational healing works, and she starts talking about how the enzymes change in your body and things. Brilliant. So there are a lot of people out there. All these comments are coming in. Love that division. Oh yes, we already got that. And Claire says thank you. You're very welcome. It's a fantastic book, and I'm sure we'll see loads more. I'll give you a star. What do you think? So do you think that an animal, or okay, let me be a bit more blunt on this, Anita. I think so. So you start to work with an animal and it's being subject to cruelty. How on earth do you deal with that issue? Because it must be really traumatic.
It is really traumatic, and the thing is, I think, like, thankfully, the more I've worked, the more I have to I have to separate myself from the trauma to help the animal. That makes sense, because if I'm an emotional wreck, I cannot help the animal.
Yes.
So And I get upset. I generally feel their pain, but I have to keep myself to almost like a little bit disconnected, because I need to then work with the animal to relate to the human who's now got them, what's taken place, and how best to help them going forward. Now, I will share just recently, that was the weekend, I worked with a horse that was a rescue horse that basically they couldn't touch it. And what the horse showed me was it had been in some sort of like agricultural market, and they'd been using those, the electrical prods on the horse.
I do, yeah.
And they'd been using that. And the owners who had the animal now had no idea or concept that taken place, but that gave them an idea why it was they couldn't go to the back end of that animal.
So you can actually help the animal to understand that the new people who are looking, the new carers, the new custodians of the animal, won't be cruel, and help the animal to understand that that's not every human's way of looking after or not looking after the animal itself.
And also it gives the new humans an understanding of how best then to help the animal, because I can then say, if you do this might help, that might help. And so it sort of comes in from the aspect of sort of, it's a three-way conversation, so they can ask questions as well to go back to the animal, and I come back from the animal back to them. So it's like a telephone call basically. But with animals that have been so badly, animals are so trusting. I think this is the thing we all who have animals in our life will understand. Animals are so trusting, and I truly believe even these ones that have been so cruelly treated, they still don't give up on hope of being loved and wanted. And I just feel there's a lot of people do the rescue work, and I very much admire people who do the rescue work to help all sorts of animals, because it's when you're doing that sort of work, I do it, but it's I have to keep myself very grounded to do that work with the animals that are being mistreated.
So when you initially work with an animal, are you open to the communication at all times, or do you just have to settle down a little bit before you start your work?
Good question. I do like to settle down first, I will be honest with you. So what I try to do, I mean, again, if it happened, something just happened, I would be able to connect and connect with the animal and link in with the animal. But I do like, if I'm doing like a professional reading, I like to, and because there's so much, again, for me, when I say responsibility, I want to get it right, not for myself, for the animal, because the most important thing is that animal. So I don't want to make a mistake for them to relay what's best for their interest back to their carers at this time, who's looking after them. So I like to be still, and I do teach animal communication, and I feel it's the most important thing I would say is to be still. You need to be still in your mind. If you're thinking about shopping, or you're thinking about ironing, you're not present with the animal. And for pure communication, you need to be present with the animal.
Wonderful. Lovely Stephanie Holland here. Hi, Stephanie. Hope you're well. And Susie as well. Hi, Susie. Yes, blessing to see you. Thank you so much for being here, Susie. Absolutely wonderful. Brilliant. There you go. You see loads of people looking at and listening to you now. How does it work? So does somebody phone you and say, Anita, could you come and work with my horse, or could you work with my dog or my cat, or how does the system work? How does the communication begin? How does the client start to work with you?
Well, how I mostly work, and this is how most animal communication takes place, it is mostly done remotely. It does not have to be done remotely, but it is, a lot of what I do is done remotely. And this is purely because it's more conducive for the animal quite often. Because you have a sort of sick animal, a very anxious animal, an animal that's too far away, say a horse, for example, they might be, say, in Kent and I'm down somewhere else. So it works. I do a lot of work remotely. Having said that, I can do it in person as well. And how I normally work is via photographs. So someone approached me, they asked me for a communication, and they send me a photograph. I always work with the animal's name as well, because the photo has the energy, but our name also has an energy as well. So I very much tap into the energy and the essence of the animal's name and the photograph. And also when I'm doing any communications, supposing, say, we've got a dog, for example, or a cat that is in a house with one or more people, I always want to know who's in that home, because each relationship with each person within that home will be different. So, if you got to say, like, I've got a son at home, my husband's home. So each of the relationships my dogs have with my son and my husband will be different. to what they have with me. So it's very important to get the dynamics of the way they live to also do the communication. So I always do a few questions like, well, who's in the house, animal's name, their name, and the photographs is how I always work. Then what I do is I have that prior to my connection with the human, and I sit with the pictures or the picture of the animal to connect with first and make what I call a first connection, a first link. I always make notes, and then we have a allocated time to get together, and we actually then have the freeway conversation. Sometimes people do come to me with their animal, which is fine, but because I've got 8 dogs, you find obviously a cat's not going to come to my house.
Oh dear. So good. Right. So let's say a few hellos. My friend Linda Cooper, Linda and Phil, I've known them for 20 years. Absolutely fantastic people. Linda's a cat person, I can tell you. Oh, I'm not going to tell you cat secrets about Linda. She's got a few. She's really, really loves. So Claire asked, "Hi, has Denise worked with any wild animals, big cats, for instance?"
I have worked with wild animals. Yes, I've worked with. I've done some not on safari myself. I've done some work on safari for animals that's been unwell, and also I've done some work for some wild animals in the States as well, with people.
Wow.
And feral cats in the States, where like they're feral cats and there's a rescue there's trying to help them. So I've done quite a bit of work with the wild animals.
Fantastic. Here's one for you from our Stephanie. What's the best strategy for a lost animal?
Right. This is probably the toughest area to work with animal communication, is working with the lost animal. And the best strategy to start off with would be expectations. And what I mean by that is if you're working with somebody on behalf of somebody, you want to lower expectations than raise expectations, because if you raise expectations that the animal's definitely going to come home, then that person could really feel worse than they did before. So expectation is the first aspect when you're working with any lost animal. And then from there, it really is, I would say to you have to have when I say an open mind, because often with lost animals, they are confused themselves. They're frightened, they're scared. So the information you pick up may not necessarily be so clear as it may be the dog that's in a home, the cat that's in a nice home, or the horse in a field. This lost animal can be very, very stressed. And also you're looking at the lost animal, the first thing you need to find out is it alive or is it in the spirit world? That's the first connection we have to find out. So that's where my mediumship comes in when we're looking for lost animals. And
carry on. You're so fantastic. You're so good at intuitively preempting. I've got a question to ask, but I'll just zip in something that Liz always says. All cats have got 2 homes.
And they do. They do have that. But also, we did a communication a little not so long ago, whereas the cat had loosely had 2 homes, but the second home person had decided to keep it in and wouldn't let it out. So it wasn't so working with lost animals as a whole is a massive area.
Yes, fantastic.
And then the aspect where the lost animal is not necessarily lost, but don't want to come home.
Interesting.
That also happens.
I think here's our Stephanie. Fantastic. I think remote healing is powerful. We are is energy. Brilliant work you're doing. How about that?
I feel blessed to be able to make a small mark, so I'll be saying, to help the animals.
Yeah, and Claire's enjoying this as well. It's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. So let's have a little talk about you. I mean, it's I could talk about your animal communication forever. We'll probably come back to it, but a little bit about your mediumistic work. I know from the website you work one-to-one, and I also know, because we spoke about earlier, that you have been doing platform work for many years. Do you have a preference, or is it all just part of the whole?
I think for me, I told you I don't actually have a preference, because I'm a Piscean. So if you
swim deep.
The walkway. And also I'm not big into numerology, but I'm a life path 6, which is all about new things, new experiences, and I love to do things. You see, I love doing different things. So I think so with me, it's I like flexibility very much. And I think for me, I love the platform work. I love my animal communication, and I just really for me, my passion is being with people, being with the animals, and again, I came to this work, and I call it the whole area, that the Reiki, my healing. I do sound healing as well. The whole aspect of me is about healing. Whatever area we're working in, it just comes down to healing, because whatever person comes to you for, do they need to know their father's okay in the spirit world? Do they need to know that their dog, is happy there with mum at home while I'm on holiday? Someone else may want some Reiki for someone I worked with yesterday. She's going through kidney dialysis, and she had some Reiki, and she said to me, "Oh, I never realised I could feel so relaxed." She's the first time person come for healing, actually, to me.
Amazing.
And so I think it's just, for me, it's healing, and what a person requires, or the animal requires at that time, is the healing I like to work with.
Fantastic. Gaz is on holiday in Devon and he's taken time out, but I think the kids want him back. So he said, I'm going to have to say goodbye now. And thanks for your great interview. We'll watch the rest on catch up at the campsite now. So about to lose a decent signal. Love to you all. But thank you very, very much indeed. And I know Gaz will see the whole of it. And I hope at some stage you'll meet him. I'll give him a star. What do you think, Anita? We'll give him a star.
So, yeah, gold one at that.
Okay, so here's a question. Stephanie's interested in past life work. What's your take on that?
Yes, I have a big passion on past lives, and I do past life readings. I don't do past life readings as in like a hypnotherapist. I just do past life spirit readings. And I also feel here, the more my work has developed as an animal communicator, I also know here that past lives also come in with the animals as well, and the life purpose of an animal. It's not just a case of an animal being here, the here and now, but they've also, sometimes we've shared lives with other animals. I also have one of my own dogs here now. I do know is a reincarnation of a previous dog that I had. There's too many similarities, too many. So the past life aspect for me, I feel again, I hate the word lessons. I just don't like that word. But I feel it's the experiences that we have from past lives we bring into this incarnation, and the experience we have in this incarnation do we take through to another incarnation. I massively believe in that, and I think, again, if I look at the way I am with animals, I wasn't shown that, I wasn't taught that. It was me, it was in me. So I feel it would have come from a past life experience.
Wow, very, very interesting. Have you got a past life? We've got a lady, Jane Osborne, who's very, very, very big into past life on our circuit up in the Midlands, and she has some fantastic stories and anecdotes to tell about past lives. Have you got one?
Past lives. Well, what I will share with you is not much about past life. It's about me. I'd say when I really began to really see the essence of the soul of us now. And this is something really I want to share, because it really sort of something that really resonates.
Yes.
And it was this beautiful dog. His name was Alfie. He was a beautiful, beautiful standard poodle. And for me, he was like a soulmate. So I mean, I think soulmates can come in any spheres of our life, not just another human being. And I remember he was unwell, but he happened very, very quickly. And I was due to take him to the vet in the next morning, but we didn't get there, because basically the night before he passed, he was in my bedroom. I thought I was going to keep an eye on him for the night. He was in the bedroom, and I woke up to see him sitting by the cupboard there. And as I saw him sitting there, he was still very much in the physical body, but I saw his soul leaving his body before he passed.
Wow.
And and I think so. How can his heart still be beating, but his soul has gone? But I saw that almost like transition taking place on that evening, and then the next morning he actually did pass away.
Do you see a soul as a spectral energy, a light, or do you see it as an image of the?
I saw. That's the only time I really saw the soul leave the body in that aspect, and for me it was just like a light that just sort of shifted from him as he moved away.
Beautiful. Did you feel serene when you saw it?
Yeah, to this day, this was a long time ago now. I remember this. It's so clear to me today as it was then, and the feeling of peace I got seeing that shift and go, and just move over to the other side. But he was still there, and that's the time I thought I couldn't understand the concept. But now, again, as we develop our own awareness, I understand what took place there. But it was very serene. It was very just very peaceful to see that go. But for me, that is part of the I feel I will come back with that dog at some point.
We've got a few comments here for you. You have such a vast knowledge, Anita, and I'm working so many others. I admire your work and really enjoy the conversation. Lovely.
Thank you.
And Melanie, thank you for this wonderful question. We've got another couple of questions as well. Do animals get stuck when crossing over? I hear that people can get stuck if they passed in a traumatic or unexpected way. Is it the same for animals, please? And interestingly,
Very interesting question, that is.
Interestingly, my uncle was killed in a road accident, and my Aunt Mady held a circle in the town where I come from. And obviously, this is a personal matter, but she held a circle every Thursday for about 30 years. And I said to Mady once, as Robert passed over, she said, no, he's still wandering up and down the road where the accident happened. He still doesn't know what's happened. And she laughed. She said, but he'll go in his own time. So the question is, do animals get stuck?
Well, I'm a big believer of free will, to be honest. So I think when you talk about sort of someone who passes tragically and they don't necessarily cross over, I think we have that free will to choose to cross over if we want to. Not to cross over. And also, as you say, it's like just because we're going to spirit, the essence of who we are doesn't change, be it as animal. I actually do believe, again, the word stuck does sound very painful if you've got your humans here wanting your animal to cross over. But I do believe there can be an element of being stuck when they do cross over. I don't feel they'd be stuck there so long, say, as a human maybe, because the human mind is so vast and overthinks everything, whereas the animals are much more simplistic in their way of thinking. You know, if they're cold, they're cold, they're hot, and they're hungry, they're hungry.
Yes.
Baggage of today, yesterday, tomorrow, what if. But I do think there's an element they could, and where they could get stuck, and I feel they could get stuck here, especially if they're still looking for their human, because often with the animals, our lives are so entwined with the animals in our lives. I do believe they can get stuck briefly. Yeah,
because there are a few stories of animal spirits staying with their owners until the owner dies. It's quite a fascinating thought. And people who have got into some difficult situations, they've got out of them because they've said that their loved pet communicated with them. Does that surprise you?
No, because I think that, as you said, that they have the animal-human bond is so strong that it does not surprise me, because I just think here, and I think what people who are not animal lovers don't really understand, us as animal lovers, how strong that bond can be. You know, it's not just a dog, it's just a cat, but it's not a case of that. These animals are often more important to most people than their own family in some instances. You know, the animal. So I think that bond is very likely if the animal crosses over suddenly and the human is there, you know, devastated, that the animal could be stuck potentially.
Yeah, very interesting. Mel, thank you so much for that question. Stephanie has got, I've got a couple of confirmations here. I think my sister's dog is a reincarnation of my own dog, similar nature, and won't leave my side. So must be possible.
100%, I would say. And again, it's I think with anything that we do, energy does not die. Energy cannot be destroyed. Energy just transmutes, changes. And that's, you know, you put water in the kettle, you boil it, comes out steam. And that's a scientific fact. Energy cannot be destroyed. So just because an animal or a human's crossed over, the essence of that person, the animal, is still energy. So I do believe here, I massively believe in reincarnation. And I know for a fact, the dog I've got now indoors, she is my Jimmy reincarnated, because it was Jimmy who started my journey. He was so mischievous, but she does a different breed, different sex, different animal. But she does she's got his personality. Even she's got a few allergies that my Jimmy used to have. Those things you couldn't make up.
And Claire confirms that. Fantastic medium. And she says, I think my cat Merlin used to be a dog of mine. And the reason that I put that answer first is because Stephanie asks, do animals reincarnate as different species? And there you go. I think Claire's got the answer. But what's your feeling?
They do. They come back as different, because we know the soul is limitless, right? We know that.
Yes.
So if the soul is limitless, why would you just come back as one particular being.
Yes, very
I
interesting.
want to try it all. So for me, definitely would come back as different species.
And do you think animals come back as humans and vice versa?
I believe, again, we have the ability, and I'm not a Buddhist. So I don't believe we come. Their philosophy is like we start as say for a fly, and we go through
Yes,
and get
yes.
higher vibrations. I don't personally believe that. I believe it's more a case of that the soul is limitless, and then we can choose, at a time of incarnation, to come back.
Mm,
And why would we
fascinating.
choose? I mean, why would we choose just to always be a human, or to be a dog, or to be a horse, or to be a cat? We could become anything.
Mm. Liz says, absolutely, it's all about energy. And you're right, energy does not stop, it merely changes form. Very, very information. The really interesting thing about our conversation, Anita, is that you've got so many tens of people agreeing and giving you anecdotes to confirm everything you say. It's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. If you see an animal that is in distress, say you, I mean, I'll give a peculiar or perhaps a way of explaining where I'm coming from. What do you do if you see an animal, a dog, particularly in a car, and it's looking out of the back window and it's saying to you, "Help me"?
Oh no, I've done it, so no problem. We first of all we called the fire brigade. They didn't want to know. We called the police. They didn't want to know. And they told us to smash the window.
Wow! So there you go.
So,
There's the answer, 101%. So
I don't recommend you go out and you smash someone's window. Do that. But we did call the fire brigade, and it was in Chingford in London where I was working as a dog trainer. Then someone had come out, left a dog in the car park. It was really, it wasn't 40 degrees, it was 20 degrees plus, and the dog had been there for some time. It was really clearly distressed. The
mm,
police, again, Metropolitan Police, very busy, didn't want to deal with it. They just said break the window.
and the job was done.
The
Well,
job was done.
well done, Anita.
Mm.
Stephanie says, I don't say it often, as I'm already classed as a bit of a woo-woo in the family. We know all about that, Stephanie. Her dog is like my shadow, a deep connection that must come from my previous dog. I've always thought it. Thanks for confirming my thoughts. There you go. You've done your work tonight. Absolutely brilliant. I always reckon if you only help one person in a session or whatever it is, you've done your work, haven't you? I think
That's interesting you should say that, Ian, because I remember when I first went for healing for myself, and then I got so much benefit from it. And I said to the lady who gave me healing that I wanted to be trained as a healer. And the first thing she said, "Why do you want to be a healer?" And I said, "If I can just help one person, I've been helped. The way I've been helped. That's all I need to do."
Yes, I really go for that. I was working at the stall. We've had a stall on the Victoria Market for 20 odd years, selling crystals and incense and esoterical goods and things. And you know something, you sometimes get somebody who stands there and you think, oh my God, you really know, don't you?
Mm.
And they asked questions, and I won't say particularly a day or when it was, but quite recently I said to Liz, I think that one of us is going to have to be very, very clear with this lady, because she's gone past the pale. She needs some real deep psychiatric help. And I think sometimes you've got to be strong enough to be able to do that,
You
to
had,
say,
yeah.
it's gone beyond where you're at.
Yeah.
And I think, and I suspect that for this particular person, I think that she had been very, very poorly treated by a person, another spiritual person. I think the
Yeah.
responsibility of your work is immense, isn't it?
It's massive. It really is massive. And I think that's the most important thing. We all, as you say, and I'm very conscious of how vulnerable we all can be.
Yes, very much. Do you know how time flies?
Is it time up?
No, we've got about 6 minutes to go. But I'm so, I'm just absolutely captivated by this conversation that I've had with you. Have you got a message or some thoughts or an idea or something that'll just, and I'm not talking about messages specifically, but just something for the people who are watching?
Yes, actually, I have actually, because growing up, I'm quite a nosy person in a nice way. And my nan used to say to me, curiosity killed the cat. So I'm going to say to you, if you're curious, there is always something new to be discovered in the backdrop of your daily life.
Yes.
So dig deep.
Interesting. I can remember somebody said to me quite some time ago, if you need a bit of inspiration, go into a bookshop or a library and just pick any book, follow your guidance, just open a page and see what happens. I can't tell you how many times that I've done that over the years. I open the page and whoo, you just go, crikey. It's just amazing how you can be guided to all sorts of little, Liz and I call them psychic winks.
Yeah, and that is true, because my nan has so many strange sayings, but often off the back of her strange sayings, I can get like inspiration.
Yes. Some years ago, we were thinking about stocking these really expensive Marseille tarot decks. They were, and you still buy them, and they're published by a company called Camion. And we were talking about this driving along the motorway, and we were in the lane one, just idly driving along, talking about, oh, should we stock these? Because we had to buy, I think they were about £20 deck to buy, and you had to buy, I think it was 15
All right.
for the order, so it was quite an expensive thing. And I've been involved with tarot for a long time, and I thought people aren't going to buy them, and I whatever. And as we were driving, a French truck drove by, and as you know, camion means lorry, but it just said camion. I said, there's the psychic wink, and we bought them and sold them. But it can happen that way, can't it? It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Well, let's just see where we are. Oh yeah, there we go. Look, it's a true story, the psychic wink. It absolutely is. Paul's off. He's leaving us, deserting us right at the last minute, Paul. Thank you, guys. Got to jump off. See you all soon. And to your comment and your thoughts, wow, nicely said. There you go. I bet Paul will be using that, because you don't mind, do you? Love any messages you people say. So where are we at? Let's have a quick look. 3 minutes to go. Let's just a quick chat about the events coming up. Let me just get these banners out. Here we go. And don't forget, here you go. Anita, you can get her on anitadenise.com. Please get yourself on that website. It's absolutely fantastic. Our next show is at the Newark Wellbeing Show, Mind, Business, Soul Experience, 3 and 4 of September, Lady Eastwood Centre, Newark Showground. You can easily just tap that in. We've got 60 plus stands written on this old banner. We're over 70 now. Isa Moon's back with us. Isa Moon, absolutely fantastic. She's doing her song workshop, so get yourself involved with that. Philip Underwood is doing an incredible 2-hour seminar. People are going to love that as well. So there's all sorts of things going on. Let's see if we've got any more comments. Oh, look, Stephanie says, I'm still following the path of animal communication that you taught us. I've had a reading a couple of days ago, and the message from my old dog was continue to follow the path. He says the yellow brick road. That's what we always called it in our house. And the reader was so chuffed when I confirmed that he had been taught this a couple of years ago. Amazing. And my agent, who looks after my corporate speaking, Jeremy, he is a bit of a psychic. He gave me a message yesterday when he was on the phone talking to me, which I thought was lovely and really nice. A lot of thespians like the mediumistic stuff, don't they? Right, here we go. So it's been a fascinating live this evening. Thank you both. Look forward to you both again. Anita, can I tempt you to come back? Can I dangle the carrot? Because
I'd love to come back. I like to talk, Steve.
and no doubt about it. So here we are. 1 minute to go. God bless you all. Thank you so much. If you want to rewatch this, if you're only watching a little bit of it, you can go to Facebook Live and you can watch the catch up, or you can go on Thursday, as you know, to Lizianevents.org, and the whole of this wonderful hour will be there for you to look at. Incidentally, if you like this and you watch it on Lizianevents News, top right hand corner of the video, there is a little arrow. If you click that, it'll give you a download link or a share link. Please do it, because I absolutely know for sure that Anita would love you to do that, so all your friends know about it. So Claire says, thank you very much. Lovely Linda, cat girl, thank you so much. Absolutely fascinating. She could listen all night.
Oh, thank you.
Brilliant.
Well,
there you go. Melanie says, thank you so much. And Stephanie says, enjoyed listening to you, Lisa. Thank you. Take care all. And you cannot beat that. And please share. Yeah, share everything you can. Let everybody know about Anita and all of her good work, especially if you're down in the southeast of England, Kent, Essex, both massive counties. I'm sure that Anita will work with you. And as you know, you can always connect through Zoom and get a photograph up there, and away you will go. So good evening to all of you. God bless you, my lovely friend. It's been an absolute pleasure. The hour's been brilliant. Thank you so much, Anita.
thank you for having me.
Lovely. Let me find the everybody knows this can go drastically wrong. I end up putting Lizzie's outros on and all sorts. So let's have a go. So stay on board, and God bless you all. And we'll see you next week with another special guest. So see you soon. Bye-bye.